Here's my little tidbit for today. I've been thinking and talking about this a lot here in the Family Business Office Hour and sharing this on LinkedIn. And I'm even pondering writing another book about this. Or not another book, but I write little short books for family business owners. This is the concept. What I see is in family business, what a lot of people do is they wait for stuff outside of themselves to change before they personally make a change. And what I beg of you inside of your own family business or with the family businesses that you work with to change that order to, I will make the change internally, and then knowing that things externally will change. So that's the big concept, is make internal changes, knowing external things are bound to happen when you do that. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I have worked with a family business. They have second and third generation working together in the family business. For many, many, many quarters, we've had a conversation around, and I like to change things. So, hey, Mom, what do you want from the business? The son is saying, Mom, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? The mom is saying to her son, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And they're both just sitting there waiting for the other one to say what they want. It wasn't until one of them sat quietly and said, okay, here's what I want. Actually figured out the answer to that question. Here's what I want. And then was able to say what they want, that things actually changed. So if you sit and wait for the other generation or a sibling or a cousin or a spouse, if you wait and wait and wait for them, you're probably going to just keep waiting. And the reason for that is many. One is, I do think in family businesses, we hand traits from one generation to the next. So if the first generation is waiting for other people to make decisions, the second generation will do the same thing. And then it's a huge waiting game, a constant, I'm waiting for you, you're waiting for me. And all we do is wait and wait and wait. So please, again, in your own family business or with family businesses that you're working with, encourage people to look inward and figure out what they want. And that can be an extremely hard thing to answer in family business. What I often see is the first answer people give is, well, what I want is for them to be happy. Or what I want is to know what they want. Those are true things. I'm sure that's true. Other quick answers people will give is, I just don't want to fill in the blank. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to wait anymore. I don't want to have questions anymore. Those are all a good place to start. What I'm looking for, and when I'm talking about this, I mean what's deeper underneath that. Now, what is it you want? And some examples of what I see in family business, of what people ultimately want when they get quiet enough to listen to themselves and really think it through, is they might say things like, I want to know when I will be 100% owner of the business. Or I want to know if I need to buy my ownership, if it will be gifted to me, if it's gifted to me when, if I need to buy it, what does the process look like to buy it? Those are some things people will want to know. If you want to go another level deeper, a person might say, I want to buy this business. I want to buy it at a discount rate, and I want the business to fund the purchase. That would be even deeper. Other examples of things people have gotten connected to is, I want to be the owner of the business. I don't want to run it. For example, I worked with a family business where the next generation owner loved project management. He was a really good project manager. He did not want to run the business. He had tried to learn how to run the business. And he kept trying, and people kept saying to him, you're not ready. And he kept saying, I know I'm not ready. I don't know if I'm ever going to be ready. When he finally just said, I want to own the business, I don't want to run it, then they got to start moving forward. in their conversations. Until then, he kept saying, well, yeah, I know, I want to own the business. And then the conversation was always about when will he be ready to run the business. I'm just giving you a handful of examples of what I mean when I say what you figure out what you ultimately want, and then ask for that thing. I want to give one other example. I worked with a family business. The third generation, everybody just assumed everybody's going to work there. Everybody's going to work in the business. And finally, one of them said, I don't like working here. I don't want to work here at all. That was a really, really hard thing for them to realize. When they finally said, I don't actually want to work here, I am not interested in this job, it opened up an entire conversation that included other members of the third generation admitting the same thing, that they did not want to work in the business. They, similar to my other example, they were okay being owners. They didn't even have to be owners. They actually loved the family business too. They just didn't want to work there. They ended up in that situation. There were 3 people. 2 of them said, I want to be an owner. I will stay an active owner. They were amazing owners. And a third said, I don't want to work here and I don't want to be an owner. And they figured out how to buy them out over several years. And everybody was happier after that. But it started with answering that question of what do I want?